on today. I know a lot of people have questions about the real estate market. I know it just opened up. I thought this was a great topic to have. Just educate people on what the buying experience might look like. I know I can't do you justice by introducing you. So why don't you give us a little bit about you, your company, and then we'll get into some of the conversation.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here and hopefully give the audience a lot of information about what's really happening in the real estate market. But I've been in the industry for about 15 years. I own a real estate brokerage firm here in Metro Detroit. We've got an office in Troy, and we've got an office in Clarkston. We've got about 150 agents now at the company, and we continue to grow. And really my goal, you guys, is to provide the community with the best advice possible when it comes to buying or selling their home so that people can make the best decisions. So there are 7 or 8 things I'm going to share with the audience today, and I'm sure we'll get into it soon.
And one of the reasons that we had Brandon on is I've been watching your podcast, your video, your YouTube stuff. The honesty and the humble approach you take to it, it's just like, sometimes I feel like there can be some more salesy type guys out there, but like you're just bringing the facts. And I think people appreciate that. Also, I know that, being as humble as you are, you didn't really give yourself a good intro. Brandon runs the fastest growing real estate brokerage company the state has ever experienced. So we got a special guest today, and I know Pat's going to lead you through some good question and answer. Quick reminder, we're still locked up at home, 50% off all estate planning services and free powers of attorney to all frontline responders. I know we can't stress enough, thank you for everything that everyone has done. If you're out there still working, reach out. We'll hook you guys up. So Pat, take it from here.
Very good. Well, Brandon, just to ask the question that I have been getting asked and that I think everyone is probably asking you, what is going on with the real estate market and when is it going to crash? Because it's definitely going to crash, right?
Right. So good question. So last Thursday, I'm going to speak specifically about the Michigan real estate market. But last Thursday, Governor Whitmer deemed real estate to be a critical business, and she reopened the Michigan real estate market, which was a great thing. There's a lot of talk about, 2020 market crash, recession. And the question, Pat, to your point is, will the real estate market crash like we did in 2008 during the Great Recession? Well, there are 8 things, 8 reasons, 8 pieces of evidence that suggest the housing market won't crash. Matter of fact, many believe, including myself, that the housing market will be one of the factors that pulls us through this recession. So let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
Number one, you got to look at home equity. The home equity position people have right now versus that of 2008. 2008, most of us owed more than the house was worth. Harvard came out with a study that 61% of homeowners right now have 50% more or more equity in their property. So unlike 2008, right, when people were walking away from their properties because they didn't have any value, they didn't have any equity. Well, now it's very difficult for people like us to walk away from a property where you have so much equity. So that's the first reason. The second thing, and you guys can jump in, we can have some conversations about this. Go ahead, Pat. You want to add something to that?
Yeah, I was going to say to that point, and I may be getting ahead of you here on this one, or I may be just totally off the mark, but an awful lot of what contributed to the 2008 collapse, it wasn't that the collapse just impacted the real estate market. It was that overvaluation or speculation in the real estate market caused, in large part, that collapse. So it's not as though that happened and it took down all of the houses. All the home ownership, it was that the home ownership was a huge part, or the imbalance in equity was a huge part in what took it down in the first place.
That's right. You've got cause and effect with everything, right? And so this time around, the cause is not the housing market, and thus we believe the housing market will help pull us through this small little recession. So the second reason that economists talk about right now is this pent-up demand. So for the past 45 days, you guys, real estate transactions have fell off by over 70%. 70% of people looking to buy or sell a home have put that move on hold. Well, now that the governor has opened us up, we've seen a rebound in the market like we thought we would, but even more so. I mean, the amount of people that are putting their houses on the market, buying houses right now, has been a really positive thing to see, that the market has bounced back in less than 7 days, just like that. So there's a massive pent-up demand of all these people that have been wanting to move over the past couple of years that will contribute to the real estate market continuing to strengthen. Okay.
So Brandon, question for you on that.
Yep.
I guess it couldn't be a better time for this to happen, because this truly is like busy season for buying and selling homes, correct?
That's exactly right.
Add to that mortgage rates. I know I don't keep up with this, but I believe they're like as low as they've ever been. So demand's high, supply's low, interest rates are crazy low. I mean, it's like, and you're in the time of the year to buy and sell. Couldn't be better, right?
Couldn't be better. It's like a perfect storm, and I think there's a lot to be grateful for and to be thankful for from that standpoint, because of everything that's going on. All of the things Mike just mentioned, all contribute to a positive thing with the U.S. economy, but certainly here in Michigan. So that's right. I mean, the next thing really on the list is mortgage rates. Mike, you nailed it. So in the time I've been in this business, and really for any length of time, interest rates on a 30-year mortgage, under 3%. We're writing mortgages right now for people with our mortgage company, 15-year fixed loans, close to 2%. And on a 30-year fixed interest rate, under 3%. It's unbelievable. So the cost of money is next to nothing.
I can tell you, we feel that a little bit on our end, because, in estate planning, a lot of times houses are in trust. They're in, the deed is over to the trust. And so often we have to take measures. A financial institution might require us to take it out of trust while the refinance happens, then put it back into trust. And we're being reached out to by clients almost daily. So that tells us that there's so many people out there refinancing, doing those things. So like we kind of feel it and have felt it now for at least 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, during this thing, we launched, I don't know if I told you guys, I launched a mortgage company. We launched in March, right? The worst time ever when the market goes down. However, the refinances have been insane, and now purchase pre-approvals are back up. And so I think the next thing, just to keep things on track, to make sure we give that to the viewers, make sure we keep things moving, is home prices. So the other thing, Mike, that you mentioned was this whole supply and demand thing. Well, there's something called absorption rate in real estate. And we look at how many months of inventory is there on the market at any one given time. Well, for the past 5 years, we've had a major deficit of home inventory. What does that mean? That means that there are 10 homes or 10 buyers out there for every one house for sale, right? So it makes the demand for homes really, really high, making prices go really, really high. Mm-hmm. For the past 5 years, guys, we've been hovering around a 3-month inventory rate, meaning if not another house hits the market, in 3 months, there would be 0 houses for sale. Well, right now, let me put this in perspective. So that was a deficit. Right now, we're under 2 months worth of supply. So what happens is, this is phenomenal for a homeowner, very tough for a buyer. But when someone puts a house on the market right now, it is literally a feeding frenzy. We've put houses on the market. We don't even have to officially put houses on the market, and we're getting 10, 15 offers. It's unbelievable. And so when inventory levels are so low, it drives prices through the roof. So the fourth reason why we believe the housing market will help us get through this recession, our home values will continue to rise. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So the next thing really I want to talk about is this thing that that's the V-shaped recession, right? And so historically, recessions that have been that have happened because of a pandemic, like we're going through right now, have been what economists call V-shaped, meaning things get bad fast and they get better even faster, versus an economic recession like we dealt with an 2008, which is an L-shaped recession that take a very long time to get better. there's a lot of economists that believe we're going to be in a V-shaped recession, which we'll get in and out of it within, 6-12 months time frame. So that's something for people to look forward to. Will things get bad? Will things struggle? I think, yeah, we're dealing with that right now, but I think we're going to get through it quickly.
And I think that's an important point, not just in the real estate market, but sort of in terms of the economy and life as a whole right now, is that instead of something like you had in 2008, which is sort of the product of these systemic issues that eventually built up to a breaking point, this was a sudden acute event, the pandemic, that caused this to happen. And once that is under control, once that's dealt with, there's not this underlying issue that has to be addressed. Once that's gone, it's not that there won't be lingering effects from people. It's not like everything will all of a sudden be better, but that much steeper recovery, it kind of makes sense when you look at what the cause is.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I mean, I feel like for sure buyers, they've just been waiting to be able to do something. Just consumers generally, I would love to go out to dinner. Really, if a restaurant opens, I would probably be there.
Yeah.
Because I just want, that experience again. It's been like 2 months. I just want to take my kids and family to a nice meal that I don't have to wash the dishes and prepare the food. And don't get me wrong, I love to cook.
Yeah.
But, every once in a while, treat yourself. And I think there's going to be a lot of that. Like consumers are ready to get out and do things again.
Yeah, they are. The other thing that we've seen that we didn't plan for was there's a lot of people, you guys, that all this time in their homes have realized, well, I had no plans on moving, but now that I've been spending so much time in the house, we don't like it here very much. We want a new start. We want to move. So that's been kind of an interesting thing too, because historically people have moved because life events, babies, divorce, death, all those things cause people to want to buy or sell real estate. Well, we didn't plan for that one, right? So that's been interesting.
Yeah. Add to that, I don't think I've done so many house projects in such a short period of time. It's like my house is ready to be sold. Painted the trim, everything's good. Let's do this.
That's right. That's right. So a couple more things that are interesting. 2 things that the government has done to help the housing market pull us through this. One is foreclosure suspension. So unlike 2008, even people that are in trouble, all the 30 million people that are unemployed, lost their jobs, it's a very, very tragic thing that's happening. But the government has, suspended foreclosures. So that will help. And then the other thing is mortgage forbearance. So for people that are laid off or furloughed, they have an opportunity to not make their mortgage payment, right? And so those 2 things have given some people some relief right now. So and then lastly, I would add on, unlike 2008, where lenders were giving money to anybody who was asking. I mean, this is crazy. So Pat, Mike, we were giving loans to people, lenders were giving loans to people that were making $10 an hour buying a $500,000 home because of a stated income, no verification mortgage. Well, right now, mortgage guidelines have stayed consistent, stayed tight, so that the mortgage money that's being lent out is being done very much more responsible than that of the past, which the mortgage market, that secondary market for investors, remains a very good investment. So you put all 8 of those things together, many economists, like I started off, believe that this short-term recession that we're going to be in, the housing market this time could be the hero instead of the culprit.
Nice to hear.
Yeah, I mean, all your points are super valid, and it all makes sense to me.
Well, and it's one of those things where I kind of feel twofold on the selling. I'm like, it would be fantastic if I were able to sell now, but of course I do need somewhere to live.
That's right.
So
because I have to stay at home.
Exactly. You got to stay at home, but it would be a great time for the folks who are looking to move, or for folks who already have things lined up or something like that. That's just fantastic.
Can we talk about for a minute, what does it look like right now to sell your home? Like, can it be shown? Are people willing to come in? Are we in hazmat suits? Like what's the deal? How's it all happening?
Yeah, so there's some guidelines for sure that we have to adhere to. We are able to physically show properties again. We were doing virtual showings for the past 45 days, sort of like an experience like this. We would jump on a Zoom where the seller would flip open their camera and the buyers would be able to walk through their home virtually. Well, in-person showings are allowed, and the restriction is no more than 4 people in a property at one given time. You've got to wear gloves, you've got to wear masks, and be responsible is what the governor has placed on the real estate brokerages. But yeah, now we're back to those in-person showings, and people are just being cautious and careful. We're not doing the open houses right now. Right. So we're not doing those. We don't want strangers that don't have an intention to buy a home walking through these homeowners' properties. It's not fair to the sellers. So from a selling perspective, this is just my 2 cents. I think the experience comes out of this being more positive for a seller. Why? Well, the restrictions for people walking through your house are a lot higher than they have been in the past. So you only have the most qualified, serious buyers walking through properties. And because we have such a lack of inventory, it's unbelievable. It could be as high as 12 to 15 buyers, Mike, for every one house for sale right now.
Oh, wow.
So that's where someone even has the thought of putting their house on the market. They're going to wake up with offers in their inbox. It's that crazy again.
With the process, you mentioned that only 4 people are allowed. So I'm guessing that's excluding household members. So just like maybe the buyer, if it's a couple, and the agent, maybe.
That's right.
Are you guys doing like virtual first, then in person? Is there any kind of path to get to see commitment there?
Yes. So certainly we're doing a lot more work with video before buyer and seller agree to walk through each other's homes. So it's like if someone's interested in the property, it's important to have professional photos. But in addition to that now, video walkthroughs, there's things called Matterport where you can use your mouse and literally walk through a home virtually. It's really cool to look at every nook and cranny before you walk your family through one of these homes. So all of those things lead up to an in-person showing. And if a family has more than 4, we just take turns, right? 2 people will walk outside of the property while people are inside, and then vice versa is kind of how we're handling that now.
Okay.
Makes sense for sure. And then as far as are a lot of your agents, I'm sure, working from home,
Yes.
kind of keeping social distancing as you guys are working through all of this.
Yep, absolutely. We did reopen our offices, but most of our agents are working from home pretty much full time. If we have to meet a client at the office, we'll do so. If we have to do a closing at the office, we'll do so. But even, virtual closings is now a thing, right? And so there's a lot of laws that have been passed to try to get this real estate closing more streamlined. So it's not as archaic like the 80s, like you should be able to sign your docs virtually and not have to drive anywhere. So a lot of that's happening too.
Yeah.
And that's,
go ahead, Pat.
I was just going to say that's something that's happening on our end as well. Basically anywhere that you have to do something legal, that always just lags behind wherever the rest of the world is at. Law is
damn attorneys make it so difficult. I don't know why you guys keep doing
we're just trying to make sure it works and nobody gets hurt, But it is, the law is inherently conservative. It's inherently regressive because it wants to do what we did yesterday and the day before and the decade before. Change is frightening to the law, which is why Mike gets torn apart being an entrepreneurial lawyer. Wants to go in 2 directions at once, and we got to rein him in sometime.
I love it. I love it.
But that's been one of the actual upsides of this has been it has forced some of these legal procedures into the 20th century because, when I'm listening to the things that you say, virtual tours, and we got this 3D click-throughable model and all this amazing stuff, that's all stuff that you guys can do. And then you're like, yeah, and when it gets to the closing, finally, because of, executive orders and this being forced to happen, the law isn't holding us up as much anymore. because that's always a balance between kind of efficiency and making sure that it's good law, that things get done correctly and people don't get, pinched on a closing or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's so much good coming from this, from all industries. I mean, as you guys have all seen it with things like Amazon, home grocery deliveries. I mean, this is where the future's going. And to see like all the car dealerships, you can literally, FaceTime to look at the car, they deliver it at your house. Like, I think that is the wave of the future. I mean, who wouldn't want to not sit at a car dealership for 4 hours while you have to, right? So there's so much good coming from this, and I love it. I mean, just all the things that we've been able to do and the reach that we've been able to have because of virtual estate planning, it's just amazing. Love it.
I totally agree. I mean, you nailed it, man. I'm talking about this with my team too. Industries are having to be forced to innovate, which is a great thing. And so there are a lot of positives that are coming out of this for sure. You've got massive businesses restructuring their entire business models, where a lot of people, Pat, to your point, we should have done these things, right? So anyway, there's a lot of good coming out of this too.
Yeah.
There was no reason to push it before this, but now we've all done it. We've done it for a period of time, and we've realized how almost better it is. Truly, in our world, if you're signing a will, you could grab someone walking down the street and say, "Hey, come over here. Can you witness this will?" You might not ever see that person ever again. But now we're like recording the signings. I mean, there's so much good to come of this that I love it.
Well, and in both of our areas of practice, there is an element of convenience. So I think I saw the first kind of virtual, kind of what you're describing, click-through, walkthrough. In the last couple years, I saw it at some point, but it was by no means the standard. It was definitely like, whoa, this is crazy novel that this is happening. But Mike and I have been talking about, being able to do things virtually, meet with people in their homes, meet with people in the evenings, because people are busy, people are working. I remember the first time buying a house and like after work, running somewhere in the dark to meet the realtor to a place, and so many of them, you walked in and within 3 seconds, you were like, well, this is a waste of time. This is definitely not what I was interested, but either there weren't good photos or they hadn't done the appropriate groundwork or kind of whatever it may be. And being able to do some of that at first and do it from home, go home, put the kids to bed, maybe meet virtually with a realtor like this to go through a few properties and be like, okay, those two, we can go in person to them later. Similar with our practice, it's go home, have dinner, put the kids to bed, sit down and do your estate planning. It's a great way to make it fit with people's lives.
Pat, what you're saying made me just think of something related to this, is that with so many people doing all the things this way, like, there was that first couple people who recorded a walkthrough of a house and they made it available for people to see. Well, now everyone's doing it that way. So we're going to make it that much better. How can we make that virtual walkthrough as close as possible to the real thing? Right. And the more people are doing it, the more innovative we're going to get, the more like actually walking through it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, and the businesses that do this the best, regardless of industry, are going to win in business in the future. And so people have to start looking through a different lens. People need to start becoming innovators to serve the consumer at a higher level and, forget about what we used to do. How can we serve the consumer at a level that they're not used to while keeping everyone safe and protected? I mean, those are the businesses that are going to win in the future for sure.
Sure. We're clearly getting into Coach Brandon, so I want to hear about that. So I've seen a lot of your stuff online that, I know you coach, you mentor. Kind of tell me about that program. How can someone get in touch with you if that's something they want to get involved with? Like, give us the rundown on that.
Yeah. So for the past 4 years, I have really, I've always loved teaching, training, and coaching and mentoring business people. And so for the past 4 years, I've done just that in the real estate space, where I'm coaching and mentoring agents all over the country. And you know, the reason why is when we were talking off air, Mike, you hit it. I think the days of high pressure selling is gone. I think that we have to learn how to communicate through that allows us to connect with our clients and our prospects on a level that shows them how much we care first before we can make recommendations. And I call that reverse selling. So I'm working on my book, Reverse Selling. It will come out soon. And it's really become my life's mission to spread the word of this thing called reverse selling for salespeople and attorneys. And regardless of industry, we have to start serving the consumer and stop selling the consumer. And so if someone's watching this, they want to kind of learn more about what it is that I can do, or what is it that I do. I mean, the best place is probably just find me on Facebook and send me a message. I've got all kinds of things I've been writing lately and all kinds of videos. They can go to my YouTube channel, just my name, Brandon Mulrenin, and they can learn more about this reverse selling methodology.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So last thing I want to wrap with is tell me about the Batman poster. And also I saw the Iron Man mask. Like, give me all of that.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I should grab the helmet for you guys. Well, so, you know, it's been interesting is people have been asking me for a long time, like, what's your hobby? Like, what are you into? And I'm sure you guys get that question all the time. I've had such a hard time answering that because I'm not like this big golfer. I'm not like this big hunter. People have these huge hobbies. And then one day it kind of hit me. I love movies. And it's a way for me to kind of reflect on who I am and where I've been and where I want to go in the future. And Batman and Iron Man, for me, are characters that inspire me to want to do great things. Both of them have created things out of nothing. Both of them have sacrificed their lives to change the world. And so I look at those two things, and they're both billionaire entrepreneurs. So you put those three things for me, that like sums up who it is that I am inside my fiber. So it's a great way for me to reflect on who I want to be.
Awesome. When are we going to your bat cave?
Soon, very, very soon.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, Pat, you got any more questions? I think
No. About Batman and Iron Man, we'll get those offline.
All right. Perfect. Brandon, thank you so much for being on the show. I think it's just great information for everyone. Just knowing that the real estate market is open. You know, get in touch with Brandon. Can you share your phone number, email, whatever's best to get in touch with you, website?
Yeah, you guys can go to brookstonerealtors.com to reach out, or you can call me at my personal cell phone, 248-890-5504. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. You know this guy's serious when he's giving out a cell phone. I love it. All right, thanks, Brandon. Last reminder, 50% off all estate planning services, free powers of attorney to all frontline responders. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we'll see you guys Friday at 2 o'clock. Thanks, guys.
Very good.
Pleasure.